All right, we're starting a new series here at the podcast. So I have gone back, and as a request to many of our listeners and even our members, they love to hear the inside stories of our most successful members. And so I've gone back over the course of 2 weeks and spent all day doing a batch of recordings with our VIP members, some of our longest term and most successful rehab chiropractic mastermind group members. And I wanted to kick it off today with a very special guy. His name is JC Aikenhead out of Chicago, Illinois. He has been with us for, I believe, about a year now. And in that time, and we'll hear it in his story, he's gone from partner associate to starting his own, and he's taken off like a rocket ship. The reason why I'm starting with JC is because he is someone who, if you are just getting started or struggling getting your business off the ground, there is no one out there I believe more qualified than to talk through how to get your business from zero to being able to feed your family. So JC has a wife, 2 kids at home, and he started his business from scratch, and he's done absolutely incredible. He is the person that I would put up against anyone. Boots on the ground, not coming home until the job is done. He is that guy. He understands how to make relationships. He understands how to get into the community. He understands how to create a niche in golf and CrossFit and all of the things that most of our rehab chiropractic community likes to do. He was an athlete, a pro soccer player, actually. So I love that mentality. We go into that. I think so many people out there that have that athletic background often don't translate it into business. And I resonate with JC because I've always felt that I am someone who takes my athletic career and transfers it into the business side of it. Beyond that, JC has grown so quickly that he is now in a position where he is starting the interview process to hire an associate chiropractor. And you must stay to the end of the interview because that's where we speak a lot about that. So if you guys are in Chicago or want to live in Illinois or are just looking for an associate position at a world-class practice with a world-class practitioner, JC absolutely is your guy. So many people in our community, they want to be a rehab chiro. And for the most part, they only choose to open up their own practice out of school because there's no other options. And my North Star, all of this rehab chiro business stuff is to help our members grow their business to the point that they're ready to bring on associates, grow a team, and build a business. And JC is in that position now. He is literally too busy to continue to treat patients or to add patients to his schedule. So JC was a business genius in our September live event. His talk resonated so much. One of the things I want you to pay attention to and write this term down is business making activity. Business making activity or money making activity. They can go intertwined. JC uses the term money making activity. Money making activity is basically looking at your current schedule and taking out all of the fluff, all of the BS work that you're doing to be busy and go do things that are going to help your business make money. There's a mindset shift for so many of our members out there that they took into their business and said, between 8 and 8, I'm doing money-making activities, and guess what happened? They made more money. I know you're going to enjoy this episode. JC is an amazing guy, super motivated. You can tell why he's one of the best out there, and he will continue to be. And now I'm so excited to watch his growth, and I am humbled that he is a part of what we do. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business School for the Rehab Chiropractor. Class is officially in session. My name is Justin Rabinowitz, and I am a rehab chiropractor on a mission to teach you, a fellow rehab chiropractor, the exact tools and systems I've used to build my own successful rehab chiropractic practice so you can do the same. I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe. All right, JC, I want you to start by giving us the number one mindset shift, the biggest mindset shift that you've made since taking ChiroBiz 101, of what you think now versus what you used to think.
Yeah, the biggest mindset shift for me is that I'm actually the conduit that makes money. I don't have to wait for stuff to come to me. I can actually go out and I can find it. And it doesn't always happen the way that I perceive. It doesn't always come from that workshop or that person you connected with at that workshop. You're like, he's 100% going to book. But just the fact that I was out there and maybe a person 2 or 3 layers away from that person I met hears about me, learns about me, or saw that I did a workshop that adds some clout, some credit, and they call me. So the thing that I think the biggest shift is that you feel helpless when you're just waiting for stuff to come to you. the thing that I love about the changing of the mind is that you can get out and you can get it. You can go get it. You can hunt and you can earn. You can rainmake yourself. So
I love that. And so let's go back now. Tell us when you graduated school, what school you go to, what school you went to, and where you practice now.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2019 and went to National University of Health Sciences now. And now I'm practicing. I have my own practice, Specialized Performance Rehab, currently located in Carroll Stream, Illinois.
Love that. And so I want to talk about the JC Famous money-making activities. So to give the audience background, we brought you up as our business genius of the quarter at a live mastermind event. And when we sat you down to talk through it, the thing that resonated most with the audience was when you said money-making activities. And so I'll give you the floor. Give us a lecture, give us a talk. Tell me about what that means to you and how our audience might be able to use JC's money-making activities in their own life and practice.
Yeah, money-making activities. I came up with that from a standpoint of it's really easy to get bogged down in your office on your own, just pushing paper and doing stuff that you think is important and it really might not be. During the business day, when people are out and they're doing stuff and they're engaged, you're more likely to connect with them. So that's when I want to be out, and that's when I want to be connected with them. I can save the emails for later. I can save them. I can save the scheduling my social posts for the evening before I go to bed. But when I have people that are out of their house and in their work environment and ready to engage, that's when I want to be out, and that's when I want to be engaging with them. So that's when I'm working to take all my meetings, to do all my reach outs, to do like my physical going cold drop-ins. So that's what I call my money making activities, because the more I can actually culture those relationships, that's when money is actually going to start being made. So that's kind of an idea behind the money making activities. It's really easy when you're scared to do it. It's really easy to justify. I'm going to sit in my office and I'm going to just fill out all these emails or program this patient's homework. When in reality, your time is way better spent just going out there and doing the thing that you don't want to do, and shaking hands with people, looking people in the eye, and telling them who you are and what you do and how you think you can help their business and help their people. So that's what, to this day, that's exactly what I do. I save all the crap for the end. And I make sure that in the middle of the day, when it's prime time, I'm going to do the stuff that's a little bit harder to do.
So I want to make sure that we're clear too, because some people are thinking, well, how do you do that if you're treating patients? But the decision that you made uniquely versus a lot of people that get started is they want to treat anyone at any time, any day. And you from the get have 2 days a week that you do not see patients. So again, talk to us through the genesis of that. And it's one of those things where it's like, don't just say, oh, because I just decided to do it, because it would be easy to say that, but it's just not true because no one does it. So coach the audience a little bit on that, your mindset through that, and then work through that a little bit.
Yeah. And it's funny you mention this, because I have this conversation with my wife and my family quite regularly. When I'm treating patients, I firmly believe that is not me making money. That is me delivering on the money that I've already made. So that's fulfillment. But the marketing and the sales and the training and everything that I do on my Tuesdays and Thursdays, which I've blocked off completely, that's what actually makes money. So that's going out and marketing, culturing the relationships, showing up to the gyms, working out there, talking to people. The marketing aspect is what actually makes money. It actually creates that inflow into your business. And obviously, when people pay and they pay up front, they pay that package, you're firm on that, the money's already made. So it's all fulfillment after that. So I actually think my work is Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's when I actually work, in my opinion, in my mindset. This is when I'm working. This is when I'm hunting. This is when the actual work happens. And the fulfillment is the other stuff. That's the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Get the patients in, make sure they're doing well, give them a great experience, get them their outcome. If that makes sense.
It's great. And I want to go chicken or the egg and dive a little bit deeper, because this is one of those situations where the problem that most people have, and I would understand, is that first of all, they believe the money is made when they treat the patient. So that's mindset shift one. But even more importantly, I don't think inherently they have the self-belief that those 2 days are going to make them money. And so they can't bring themselves to block it out because they don't have the conviction that you do or did. So I guess when you decided to block those 2 days out, did you already know that that was going to make you money, or was it you're sort of betting on yourself in that scenario?
Both, really. So I set up early on in a place where I knew people, but I didn't have any relationships. So I grew up in the area that I'm practicing in now. I went away for a long time. I went to school out of state. I played 5 years abroad, and so I didn't have relationships. I didn't have the relationships, but I like knew of the area. So I knew that I needed to cultivate those, and I also knew that. I also knew that if I just set myself up for full days, like right now I work 7:37 Monday, Wednesday, Friday, basically. Tack on another 2 days of that, just see how that's going to go. I'm cooked in one day, and I need to just dust myself off to go out and do my marketing the next day. That's not going to go well. I'm sure I'd be able to fit more people in. I'm sure I'd be able to do a little something different. Maybe I did bet on myself because I started with zero. Started with no relationships. I lost my 6-figure job and told my wife I was just going to get in the car. I was going to drive. I was just start meeting people. She looked at me like I had 3 heads, which I completely understood. She knew I was going through a stressful situation. And I would come home and I would tell her, like, these are the people I met. This is what I did, only because I wanted her to know that I wasn't going to the bar. I wasn't like going and doing something like a depressed middle-aged 30-year-old man would do after they lost like the job that was floating the family and 2 kids, So it was 100% bet on myself. It was something I was very scared to do, very anxious to do. I would sit there in the parking lot and I would slap myself and I get myself pumped up to do it. And now it comes very, very easily. So if anyone listening now is thinking, well, I hate that, I'm an introvert, I don't like walking in places unannounced, make a game out of it, right? So ultimately, at the very end, I came back with a story every single day. Talking to my wife, Julia, this was hilarious. I walked in, the guy was in a personal training session. He looked at me like I was crazy. I had water on my shoes and I accidentally dripped it all over his floor that he freshly mopped. He made a comment. I said, "Can I leave some cards?" I'm going to go back there though. We just had like a laugh about it because I try to take myself as easily, like as little seriously as possible when it comes to that stuff, because it lets the personality out, and no one wants that suit and tie guy that's trying to get you to change your electric bill to save you $2 a month. But they're going to love the guy that's just himself, that just shows up, that accidentally knocks something over, that goes in the wrong door, that gets rejected at the wrong door and looks through. Like, that guy is hilarious, right? So I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be the guy that just shows up and just like, crap, sorry, I'll clean it up, and take a paper towel and clean it up. Can I leave some cards? Who can I talk to? They laugh about it. They share a story like this clown, but the clown wins, right? Because he's memorable. And that's another thing I try to do too, is I try to bring the confidence and at least make myself memorable. Don't want to be the guy that just shows up like a ghost, comes in, comes out. Who was that guy? I have no clue. Oh, it was JC. Yeah, it was the guy that asked if he could use the bathroom. It was the guy that that dropped all his cards on the floor. It was the guy that gave himself a tour even though we didn't tell him to. Yeah, he's a goofball, but he's a good guy, right? I talked to him. He's a good guy. Just make sure that they know you're not an idiot, but at the same time, if you can bring your personality out, you're going to win. So
I love that. And the phrase that we like to say internally, which you have as well, is we take our work very seriously, but we don't take ourselves very seriously, which 100%. Is I think it's a very good cultural thing to have in your business. I have a story like that, as you were talking about making like a crazy one. You would come and tell someone, when I first opened in 2015 or 16, I did what I teach you guys. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, let me go to all the gyms in the area. And so I saw like a fitness studio right down the street. So I walk in and you go like around a corridor, and I peeked my head and it was dark in there, and it looked like a strip club. And then I look and there are poles
Oh,
and there was
nice.
women dancing on pole, and I was like, where am I? And it was like in the middle of the workday, and I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. And I like run out, and I got back in my car, and I like Google it, and it was like a fitness studio where the fitness was pole dancing. And I was like, oh my God, this is so that was a
I was
decade
gonna
ago.
say, you
Yeah.
don't
It
want
was
to be at the
so
strip club
close.
during the day shift, man. That's a hard pass.
Yeah, especially when you're not expecting it. I mean, it's one thing if that's what you're trying to do, but oh my God, I think the place is still open. I follow them on social media, but yeah, that was my come to Jesus moment of like maybe I should do a little more vetting or maybe not because I have a
Perfect,
good story to tell. I have a good
perfect
story to tell.
workshop for Ashton coming up.
Yeah, it's
I don't
awesome.
see any reason why not.
I don't see any reason why not either, to be honest. I
Yeah,
might actually present that to them.
there
Ashton,
you
you're in.
go.
So you mentioned briefly the you were a soccer player of football overseas 5 years, and I think one of the things you do, which is unique, and so I was not as good of an athlete as you were, but I did play sports, and one of the things I've thought about business that I do naturally is I always try to take the lessons of sports and apply it to business. And many people that I know who are good athletes or weightlifters, they don't have the same mentality, particularly in your situation, that athlete mentality. I remember you talking about how, I get in my car and I'm not coming home until this happens. Like there's no outcome. The outcome, I'm literally not going home until this happens. And so until you meet 5 people or whatever the outcome is that you're going to do it. And so maybe again, give us some insight into that mentality of when you are going to your marketing or networking, how you set these objectives for yourself, and then the fact of how you stay disciplined to make sure that they happen.
Yeah, I say it very 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 seriously. I learned everything I have right now. I learned through sport. To be honest with you, that was a huge part of my life. I put all my eggs in one basket really early. I really did. I'm actually getting emotional now just thinking about it because it was the biggest part of my life. And I had a coach. I had a very very good coach growing up. I was in this scenario where I wasn't good enough to get drafted, but I was still good enough to play and find a spot. All right, so I had a college career that was checkered and got in some trouble. So that didn't help me either. And so I could still play though. And he looked at me and he said, You need to cut your safety net. You need to cut your safety net." I'm like, what does that mean? He's like, "You're thinking about what you're going to do after, what you're going to use for your degree. If this doesn't work out, then I'll do this." And just learning those kinds of lessons from coaches, right? You got to be all in. You literally, there were practices where the practice would go 30 minutes, 45 minutes long because we couldn't get plays done correctly, or it wasn't crisp enough, or we couldn't get the pattern play done. And I just adopted that from that. I mean, I grew up with a father. Has a white collar job, but he's a blue collar guy, and we were very much like, we're not stopping till work's done. Right, when work's done, and that's when work's done. That's when we can go home and have dinner. We work, and the joy is the work. Right, we're blessed to work. So I took all those things, and it gave me a very short career. That was fun. I had a great time. I was able to live my dream as 8-year-old, telling my dad I was going to play pro soccer. And to this day, you get what you put out, or you get what you put into it. So if I want to be better, I better train. Right, I better train. Because everyone else is going to be getting better while I'm not. I had my dad would wake me up. So he glommed on to the dad, I'm going to play pro soccer pretty early. Right. He was proud of that. So as a young kid, 8, 9 years old, he would tap me on the forehead in the morning and I'd be sleeping 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. So early, pretty early for a young guy. He would say, "Hey, the little kid in Brazil right now, he's training and you're not. He's going to take your spot one day. You better get up and get after it." So in my mind, it's kind of goofy, but there's always a little kid in Brazil. There's always someone coming to eat your lunch, right? There's always someone that's working when you're not. So you better be working. You better be working, because if you want to get better, if you want to improve, I have lofty goals, personally and professionally, and I'm always working. I'm always working because I know that if this is the business that I want, I need to be there. And it's not just going to show up. It's just not going to, I have to make it. It has to be me. Right. Cause currently I'm the visionary of the business. Mm-hmm. So I learned everything from sport, everything. I learned how to deal with disappointment. I played in Chile for a year and some. Didn't know Spanish. So went into a new thing where I didn't know anyone and I didn't know the language. I got cut like probably 6 times within a year. And the thing I'm actually most proud of is that I had my agent telling me, all right, let's just get you back. We'll get you back into Scandinavia. It'll be more comfortable for you. They're going to be more used to a player like you. We'll find you a fit really well. But I didn't want to I didn't want me going back being because I got cut. So I said, no, actually, I found another opportunity. I'm just going to ride. I'm going to go to this one. And that's the thing I'm most proud of. There was nothing fun about it, really. I would drive overnight in a bus, 8 hours, couldn't get any sleep, leave at 10 at night and be ready to train, get there at 6, sleep for 45 minutes and train at 8. That was my life and I loved it. And, everything I'm doing here, starting a business from zero, it's hard. Going in somewhere new, that's hard. But I did it. I'd done it before. I could do it again, right? You can repurpose yourself in many ways that you want. And so getting no's, not a problem for me because there's a next one coming, right? There's a next one coming. I got a no this morning for a treatment plan. He's the perfect patient. He's not ready. And he literally told me, I'm just not ready to commit to this. I said, perfect. I'll be ready when you are. And in my back of my mind, I said, I also got an eval coming at 1 and I'm going to fucking hammer it. Right. Mm-hmm. And I also know that I'm going to go find someone this weekend because I'm doing a workshop. And I also know that I'm going to get on the horn this weekend to all my influencers in the area. Like, hey, how you doing? Everything going well? Did you get this thing I sent you? Hey, anyone in your world that I can help? I'm going to get one from that. Right. There's always a new, and I struggled with this early on. You'd have these like this lead sheet and you're like, I'm going to make this amount of money. Right. Never ends up that way. But what ends up is you continue to pound, right? You continue to crack the rock. And the people that you're sure are going to convert, they don't. And then random people end up floating in, right? And you're ready and you're sharp and they're perfect for you and you're perfect for them and you convert. And so for me, it's always about just that persistence over and over again. And that no happens, but I'm going to throw that to the side because I know that I got 2 more on the schedule this afternoon that are coming in, right? And even if they don't, I know I'm going to find 3 over this weekend that are coming in. And even if they don't, I know I'm going to find 6 next week that are coming in. I don't care. I'm just going to keep going. And it's a great way to live just in general, right? Because you can easily get spun out. Like I've gone home, hit the Buffalo Trace and just tell my wife what a bad day I had. What a great husband that is, right? Awesome. Husband that comes home and his life sucks, right? That's not who I'm going to be. That's not who I'm going to be. I'm the guy that's looking forward all the time. All right. I'm going to be knocking those walls down and I'm going to be knocking on doors. And frankly, it's gotten to the point now where I'm actually trying to reel it back in a little bit because you'd have people on the fence in the past. And I was just like, all right, you're not ready. No problem. I'm here when you're ready. And I will essentially just push them out. So now I'm trying to like reel myself back in a little bit and be like, all right, let's give them a chance. Let's cultivate this a little bit. Let's find out what their objection is. Because me, just as a personality, I'm just looking at the next one, and I haven't given people a chance all the time. But I think for those that are really afraid of getting no's, I think it'd be a really good shift to just go, no problem. I got 20 more like you that are just waiting to find me, or I'm waiting to find them, and I'm going to find. So does that make sense?
It's phenomenal. Big ramble, but no, it's great. And I actually, this is going to be out of left field because I've always been curious about this, and since we're on the topic, and I'm sure we'll get a good lesson from it. But so I played football in high school. I played baseball in college, small college, and no one gave a shit. And realistically, like the most people that ever watched me do something was playing high school football in front of 5,000 or 7,000 people. And I remember to this day, I don't miss playing baseball, but I still miss football. Now, I think I've been able to translate in my life where I'm more fulfilled now than I've ever been, and I love what I'm doing. But like, it's always the old adage of the pro athlete, like they finish their career, they never find anything that makes them as satisfied or happy. Where do you stand on that?
This is making me happy.
Which part?
Going out and attacking. Being a business owner, rolling the dice. Is it familiar?
Have you like in your mind made it like I'm doing what I did before, just different? Or is it a new challenge that you're not like, talk to me about that. I'm just curious.
It's the same. I approach it the exact same. No safety nets, eggs, all in one basket. You can tell me no problem. I'm going to find something else. You can tell me this isn't going to work. I was talking to someone, they're like, it's another business owner in the area, a good buddy of mine. Like, I don't know, I might have to close the business. And I'm like, man, no problem, man. Like, why are you stressing about that? So I go, oh, what do you mean? It's my business. What happens if you lost your business? I'd go and build another one. Right. That's exactly, yeah. So that was something that was missing in my life for sure. When I stopped playing, it was a hard stop. I cut the cord because I knew if my body, I was getting old. My body wasn't good. And I was married at the time. So was my wife going to follow a journeyman pro around the world? Probably not. So I knew I had to get serious, get school done, get into my career. And that was a big hole in my heart for a long time. I didn't have anything competitive. I didn't have anything I was pushing towards. I was always working for somebody else. My life felt very, very boring, very monotonous. And I'm geared that way, man. I'm geared that way. 20 years of just thinking one way, right? Good luck reeling that back. So this is my career now, and I'm approaching it the same way. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to train. I'm going to drill. I'm going to go out and I'm going to perform. And then when I don't, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to take lessons from everything, good, bad, and otherwise. And for me, it's the perfect place to be for me as an individual, as kind of a screw loose kind of individual. But
so you got out of the gates real quick, and you've done amazingly well. You've done better in your business in how long you've been in? 12, 18 months?
11 months.
11 months. You've done better in 11 months than a lot of people do in 11 years. Like that's a fact. But there's more out there for you, which we know. Currently from like this point forward, what are the challenges that you're facing in your business growth?
Yeah. Big challenges are me hiring, not necessarily the action of hiring, but the action of hiring and training someone and giving them the right time. And I'm very much like a lead by doing kind of guy. I was captain on just about every team that I was on because I was vocal. I was good to get in someone's face, but I was always the guy that was there first. I was always going to give the most effort. And that's not always going to translate into business, especially when we're working with other personalities and people that are not in the same exact like kind of scope, right? They might not be athletes. They might not understand what's going on in my mind. They might not understand me. So just taking the time to train them. That is something I've failed in the past that we're going to remedy, and we're going to fix that. And we're going to go forward. And then also giving people some grace to understand that I don't need another me in our practice. I need someone that's going to do a very, very good job, that's going to hold up the core values, that's going to give my patients a unique solution. But at the same time, they don't need to be like me. They don't need to be out hammering, right? Because that's what I do. So if a associate's more for retention and is going to do a really good job and deliver on the service and the outcome, they're going to be perfect for me. But I'm not going to expect them to operate the same level as me. So I think some things that I'm working to fix and continuing to refine going forward are making sure I spend the right time. Communication is a big one for me that I need to improve. And then training, constantly training, giving some actual accolades, right? Giving people credit when they do something well, not just expecting them to do it. So these are kind of leadership, kind of management things that I need to continue to refine if I'm going to get where I need to go in business. So
I love it. Yeah, I think it's amazing. And I think the first thing you said, I think you're exactly spot on. And both of us being dads, I think it's like that, right? There's your kids, they say more things are caught than taught. So they'll watch what you do and all of that. But at the same time, if you never spend time with them and you don't like directly do it, but if you spend time with them and then you're a complete idiot and asshole the rest of the time, you know what I mean? So it's always both. Yeah. It's always both. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, it probably, I don't know the number, 70-30 of what you said. Like it's more of what you do and how you operate that people will follow. And that's how most of it is. But the 30%, which I think a lot of in our world, we get in trouble is because we are so busy doing the money making activities and treating the patients, we just physically don't even have the ability or the time to spend the time, whether it's an hour a week in a one-to-one, whether it's a training of anything. And the pain that you're sort of going through right now, it's interesting. It's always, and you always hear me say this, it's history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And so for me, I had 3 or 4 staff, and every day we were together, touch tight, all that, right? Well, then we got to 10 or 12, and I can't be with everyone that much anymore. And so the second layer of employee, well, where's Justin? Like, I don't talk to him. I never talk to him and do all of that. So the same thing that you're facing today of like, I only have time to do this with one. Well, eventually you'll figure that out, but then you get 8 or 10, and it's like, now you can't do 8 or 10, and you need someone else to sort of do that. And so it's sort of that's why you have team captains, because there's one coach, right? And so if you have 25 guys, it's like he can do a little bit with each, but if the coach can relay the message to the captains, and the 4 captains or 3 captains can speak to the 20 other guys. And so it's very much, a similar parallel, I think, in that scenario. And so I do think you're on the right track with it, of that it still is the leading, this first thing. The other thing that I would say, and it's just a good conversation, and a lot of our audience isn't there yet. And like I yelled at everyone on Mastermind yesterday, don't you dare think that this is never going to apply to you, because you don't need to understand this stuff until very quickly you do what you've done. And 8 months later, it's like, I guess I need to lead people, and you're not ready for it. Yeah. The other part that I will say in the leadership side is that, this is just me. We've had staff an abnormally long period of time, and I always err on the side of, so long as they don't do anything reckless and they are generally matching core values, that I give people grace, not only them, but me, right? Yeah. Because there have been times where the other person was not performing or doing the thing that they were supposed to. And it's always a two-way street. Like, it's always both. And part of it, of giving people time, is also giving ourselves time, because we're trying to figure it out as well. So it's like being a parent. We all mess it up a lot. Yeah. Hopefully Absolutely. Our kids stick around long enough to give us a chance to fix it. Now, if we continue to do the same dumb crap over and over, that's a different story. And so I think, again, for me, every single time I've given patience, then I've been rewarded with that. And then the last thing that I will say to that, I think, and Hannah taught me this lesson. So recently we've had to renegotiate not Hannah's, but some other people's salaries and compensation. And Hannah is actually sitting in and observing the conversations. And I asked her feedback of when I do them. And she said, you always do such a good job of explaining why you're asking what you're asking. Right. Yeah. And specifically around like standards of the business, like little things at our office, like you show up with a logo, you don't park in the front, you park in the back, like little things that are like nitpicky. I have to explain those. I have to explain the why as to why I'm thinking that way and why I'm doing it, or else it just comes off as just being a pain in the ass. Yeah. And whenever I would renegotiate salary with her, she did it to me twice, and I reminded it of her. I said, you're the one that taught me that, because whenever I would sit down and explain to you the number or how I got there, anything like that, and I walk you through my thought process to it, she would always say, I appreciate you spending the time to talk through it, because now I understand. You might not agree, but I understand. And so, like, when we're asking people in the business to do certain things, whether it's a silly follow-up, or why we just need to go out and do the work, or why we need to greet someone at the front, or why we need to stand up behind it, it's always explaining of, this is why we're doing it. That's not dictatorship. It's like, this is what I'm asking. Here's what I think. I'm open to change, but here's my explanation and rationale. And it's always like, you can disagree, but I want you to understand why. So I think that, for you or anyone out there that's trying to deal with or lead people, whether it's at your home or in your office, it's always making sure to understand that we have to have a clear definition as to why we're doing it. And then we have a chance to get other people on board. So just my 2 cents, cents on
Love
that.
It. Yeah.
So for you, I actually want to talk a little more tactically, because you are really, truly, put it this way. If I needed to get my business to get off the ground as fast as possible, and I looked at 100 people in our mastermind membership, you would be, right now, I can't think of anyone else I'd pick other than you to go out.
I would agree.
You would be the guy, right? So I guess the question for me is, other than just the pure put your head down and go, which is the thing, but tactically, niche development, messaging, knowing who to go speak to, how do you think about the audience that you're going to speak to? Because again, you can put your head down on the soccer field and go really hard, but if you don't know that you're trying to score a goal,
Yeah.
it's a problem. So like give our audience some more tactics on how you think about who you're going to find.
Yeah. So first we gotta have a very clear picture of who we're going to help. So it starts there. People message me on occasion, hey, how did you connect with these types of people? And it gives me like 18 different things, right? So first we just need a clear, very, very clear definition of who we're helping and how we're going to help them. So from there,
can I get an example?
Yeah. So I had a guy recently, hey, I need a really good idea of how to get in with places. I'm like, oh, you absolutely need to tell me more. Well, tell me about like the gyms, kind of what you do with like general population or golfers. I'm like, okay, we need to choose one. We absolutely need to choose one right off the bat, right? So for me, it's very much the one kind of relationship that I did have in the area was gyms. And in my experience, gyms they're more apt to give you access because they're all worried about 100%. They're worried about retention, right? We've talked about this a lot. Many people have said this. They're 100% worried about retention. So I can help you retain patients, or excuse me, I can help you retain clients by keeping them well. So they're not going to the doctor that tells them you shouldn't do CrossFit. It's bad for you. So, but that being said, gyms are a little quicker. The golf stuff is a little more relationship based in my opinion. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get into the gyms to speak with the head coach, speak with the owner. After that, I'm trying to go to the golf courses, the country clubs, and I'm trying to speak with the head pro or general manager. And then I'm also looking for influencers and teaching pros in the area. And then one thing that I started developing early on, there's a constant like, why should they help you? How can you help them? Just kind of that background like question. So I started like painting a story within our conversation. So I'd go to a gym and I'd say, I worked in a CrossFit gym for 2 years when I was in chiropractic school. I had a hard time retaining people for a couple of reasons. And one of them was they would get hurt. And the other one was they just weren't getting any better, right? Like if you try to do a muscle up for 5 years and you still can't get a muscle up, you might be running marathons the next year kind of deal. So what I like to do is help those people continue to progress, right? How does that sound? So now you actually bring up a problem that they didn't think they even actually had. It's the same thing with the golf pros. So I'll sit down with a teaching pro. Hey, have you ever seen someone you've been working them for so long and they just can't hold those positions? They're like, well, yeah. And they might hit the ball really well for like 20 minutes. And then they come back to you next week. They're the same spot they were before. Does that like resonate? Like, cause that happens to me all the time. They're like, well, actually, yeah, you're reading my mail. You're describing my exact problem. That's where I come in because you're talking about technique. I'm talking about mechanics. I can give them the mechanics that's going to hold that position. So this person's going to get better, continue to get better. And your lessons are going to stick because they're actually been able to have control around it. So you're painting a picture in their mind of a problem they might be aware of or they might not be aware of. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so I always like to start with that. And then from there, tactically, it's build the relationship. So people buy people, and trust is going to ultimately determine if someone sends you to somebody or if people buy from you. So then after I'm showing up, I'm popping in, I'm bringing them, bringing them a coffee. I have a guy recently, he's a manager of a baseball facility. I'm doing a workshop. Well, that's another story, but doing a workshop with him coming up in a couple weeks. Like, hey, didn't you tell me you have a golf glove company? It's like, yeah, I have a golf glove company. He sends me the link. So I buy one right away, right? Because there's some trust there, right? It's like this guy just asked me at random. He's going to spend $25 with me. And I'm like, hey, any bulk pricing so I could put this in my new patient box? Wow. So now he's like, oh, this guy's really for me, actually, right? Not only is he here to like take from my people, right, and make money and give them back, right? He's actually for me. He's going to buy these, like, whatever it is, these 20 packs of golf gloves, and he's going to put them in the new patient box for his golfers. That's pretty cool. So like any way you can invest a little money tactically as well when going into gyms, I always like the first one. Go have the conversation. If you kind of get the runaround, I'm making sure I'm buying a punch card, right? Because I'm at least getting 10 more shots at it,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm getting 10 more cracks at the plate. And, I asked them at, 3 or 4, hey, what do you think about that workshop I was talking about? Oh, let's kick it out a couple months. No problem. I'm still going to be here, right? No problem. I'm going to talk to you about it in count my punches in 3 more visits, right? And if I just get one of those, right? If I spend $200 on a punch card, so I spend two. If I buy 2 punch cards and I get one package out of that, well worth it. Well worth my time. So that's tactically, that's kind of what I do, and just kind of continually build the relationships. I'm starting to learn like the social stuff, so posting, mentioning them in stories. I'm doing a year party over here, so I'm gonna pay for like a gym membership, like a 1 month gym membership for like all my community partners. I'm gonna pay for some hitting lessons for all my community partners. Spend like, I don't know, 2-3 grand, right? But I'm giving them business, and people are going to come raffle off. They're going to, they're going to raffle off like these prize packs or these gym memberships, stuff like that. So like this guy is like actually pumping money into our business too. He's helping his patient base. He's pumping money into our business too. He's giving us shots at people. He refers us people. He gives us ideas. Like, this is a good guy. This is a community guy. This is who we want to be around. This is the guy I want to send people to.
I love that. That's great. And so before we wrap up, what would you tell our audience who's listened to this, they've seen my stuff, or they hear you talking on the fence about joining our world, taking ChiroBiz 101?
The one thing you've told me, Justin, that resonates with me constantly and consistently is the reason why you won't is the reason you should, or the reason why you can't is the reason you should. Ultimately, I can't thank the group enough for you, and the group enough for, I always had the confidence. A lot of it's a facade, right? A lot of it's I'm pumping myself up to get something done. But when you get into that mindset of you can go out there and make money and make your time 100% valuable and 100% leveraged, and everything you do is going to come back to you on some level, that's power. That's powerful. That makes you feel actually powerful, actually high value, and actually high level. It's really easy to say those words and not feel it, not mean it. But when you learn the skills, when you learn how to talk to people, and you can actually see your walking across the street and saying hi to someone, and that ends up with another 4 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand in your bank account, that's power. So if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about it, I can say that it's changed my life. It's changed my family's life, right? Because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. I can say that really confidently. There are other things involved, right? I do think I do things on a different level than some, but have to have the foundation. You have to know how to sell. You have to know how to market. And ultimately, worst case scenario, you're buying yourself skills that are going to translate to literally anything and everything you do in your entire life. And that's an amazing feeling.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And before we wrap up, I want to, end with expressing gratitude towards you and what I see. You're someone who hard work. I resonate with people with where the hard work is the easy part, and that's someone like in our world with Ashton, you never question his work ethic. And so for me, it's like, I know I can always get close to people like that, because when you have to drag people along, and I know you've experienced this, it's really exhausting. Being in a position where you're at, I can think and know that your kids watching what dad's doing. I don't know that I would have the balls to do what you've done. And I admire it so much, of like taking the leap and the risk when you did with a family that you have to afford and pay for. I mean, that takes a set, and your kids are too young now. One day they're going to be like, holy shit, right? One day they will, and they'll see it. And so I appreciate that, and I recognize it, and I see it in you. And, I say to a lot of you guys, but I really mean it, you make me look really good. When you listen, and even when you don't, you execute at such a high level that it's easy. And I'm always building, like you guys are, lists of who your clients are that you would want to work with. And you are one of those people that I want to, if I can make my list of 20, you're on that list. And so I appreciate you tremendously.
We'd have fun. Yeah.
And I want you to know that. And so, JC, why don't you tell the audience where they could find you on Instagram?
Instagram at Specialized Rehab. And come give me a follow. Talk some BS through the DMs.
How far are you from the Chiro school?
I'm close. In fact, they're going to be seeing a lot of me coming up here. So I'm 15 minutes from National. So if you're from National, and if you're listening, if you want to work in a practice that is probably the fastest growing practice in Illinois, where there's going to be opportunities upon opportunities, where you can practice the exact way you want, you can learn, you can actually use the DNS, right? You can use the FRC. You can actually use all the skills that you're learning and go to courses with. I have a scenario where I learned all those skills, and because I needed to make a paycheck, I ended up in a high volume clinic just cracking necks. You don't want to do that. I know you don't want to do that. If you're thinking about it at all, if you're looking for an opportunity outside of when you're done with school, please reach out to me. I would love to chat and come have you in to shadow and take a look at what we do.
Love that, man. Well, yeah, if you're out there and you go to National and want to be a rehab chiropractor and you don't reach out to JC, shame on you. You're just dumb. So we'll leave on that. Thanks, JC.
Dude, thanks so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you for free. 1, grab a copy of my free guide, the Rehab Chiropractor's Checklist. You can get that at go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. That's go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. 2, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram at Justin Rabinowitz, where I post business content. 3, subscribe to my weekly newsletter by sending me an email at coaching@strivetomove.com. And 4, leave us a 5-star review so we can gain access to more influential people and bring those lessons back to you.